Hey guys, welcome back. It's Isaac from Dealer's Chat with Juicy J. We're coming in with just a little short video about this little game called, what's it called, Juice? It's an indie game, right?
Hell, yeah, Hell Divers 2.
Hell Divers 2. And the whole thing that happened with it, with the update of, or like what Sony has said now and whatnot. And yeah, so right off the bat, Juicy J, enlighten us what happened, why people are up in arms, and how things change. Have at it.
So, yeah, so ultimately, when Helldivers 2 first came out, you were supposed to link a PlayStation account to it, a PlayStation Network account, not PlayStation Plus, the free account you can make for Sony for PlayStation. But it was causing a lot of issues when the game first released, so they disabled it. It was a joint decision by Sony and by Arrowhead. Piles that, the owner, the CEO, I guess, of Arrowhead pretty much made the decision to disable it, letting everybody play freely, do what they can. Well, recently, last week, they had made the statement decision, hey, we're going to turn that back on. You have to have a PlayStation Network account. You'll have to link it to your Steam account in order to play if you're on PC. That was causing an uproar on multiple fronts. A lot of things were said. They addressed it, and it looks like it's getting fixed. That's the shorthand of it. So,
And
Isaac, you've been following this like I have. So, and this is pretty much just a thoughts process here.
yeah.
So,
So I like I didn't follow from the beginning. Like I actually just I went on Reddit yesterday, saw or no, I went on Reddit Saturday. I was like, what's happening? And I looked into it, and like basically all these countries are gonna get blacklisted because they don't have access to PSN, right?
mm,
And Steam was allowing people to like refund it after, even after playing over the hour limit, and it was getting review bombs, and I was like, holy crap, like what the hell? Um, and and then I saw that Sony was like, hey, we hear you guys, you're right, we're sorry, we're still learning, you know, basic PR talk, right? Basically,
mm, mm.
you don't need a PSN account now. Um, and at first, I was like, dang, that's kind of Sony of them, right? Anti-consumer. And then I thought about it a little bit. I was like, well, some games require an account, right? A la EA. I believe Ubisoft requires that. I'm sure there's others, but those are the ones that come to my top of my head. Because even with EA, their games are on Game Pass, but I still need an EA account, even though I have a Game
Yeah,
Pass account, right? But for me, I'm just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. So at that point, I was like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But like I said, once I found out, like, oh, like these regions don't have access to that, okay, that's money down the drain that they're not gonna get back. And for some countries, that's a lot of money going down the drain, right? Um,
yeah.
but Sony made it right. They're like, hey, hey, you're right. We're sorry. We'll learn from this. And this is where you and I kind of like agree, right? So like I've never hit it really. Like I like Xbox. I'm an Xbox fan. I've kind of clocked out of the console wars because at the end of the day, it's just pieces of plastic. But hey, to each their own. Everyone
That's
needs a
fair.
hobby.
Fair.
Everyone needs a hobby. And that being said, Xbox is not they're not new to causing the good old controversy every now and again. For instance, when Game Pass was getting doubled, right, and then they reverted that within like I think it was 24 hours, or it was a short span of time. We're like, we're sorry, we're going like we're not doing anything, and they end up getting rid of Game Pass in general. But nonetheless, people were like, we did it. Xbox are good guys. They listen to the people. They're all about the consumer. They were. I mean, there's still people hating on them, but for the most part, we were like in agreement, like, yeah, you guys did good.
Yeah.
Sony does it, and they're like, we still hate you because you still did it to begin with. And you and I were in agreement on this. Like, I'm like, you guys are learning.
Yeah, like
Like,
this is new. This is a new front. PlayStation, Sony never comments. I mean, I won't say never, obviously, when you say an absolute, it could be false, but ultimately, unless it was so big of a deal that things like this happen, they don't usually comment. And even if it is slightly the same, they still don't comment.
I
They
think
don't usually. I mean, I'm happy they did. Go ahead.
I think the last thing they comment, and you guys could correct me. I'm just spitballing here. I think the last time they commented on like an outrage was with uh
Guys in Forbidden West.
yeah, Horizon Forbidden West and that whole debacle, and they walked that
I
back.
want to think so. I want to say so. At least one. I mean, notably that should have been talked about, obviously then, and this one now. The fact is, they are being vocal again. And I've been saying this for the better part of a year now. If Sony would just communicate more, there wouldn't be near as many issues. That also being said, seeing the community pretty much still slap them down, it's like, hey, they listened, they actually changed it, thankfully. I would say we need some positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement too. We need to give them praise. We need to take away from them all this animosity. We need to reward that behavior. It is
Exactly.
still a business transaction, and if you continue to be just an obstinate person, then they're not going to care about you, and they'll only care about the dollar. It's a mutual
Yeah.
thing here, guys.
Yeah, because if they
Like
see no matter what they do is just it's gonna be rage and rage regardless, then they're like, all right. I mean, if they're gonna hate us regardless, might as well get the most money out of it.
mhm. It's it and but on that same token though, back off Arrowhead CEO. Miles has been nothing but an open book with everyone. He's been pointing out everything that he feels that he has even put he or she, like they have put gamers in their place back in the day when they complained about the server issues. It was still one of my favorite tweets. I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much people are like, you need to stop pushing these cosmetics and different things like that and the war bonds. Start working on your servers. They need more stability. He's like, you know what? I'll get right on that. I'm gonna go in first thing Thursday morning and tell my developers, screw you and everything you're doing right now. Focus only on the servers. Or maybe I can let them continue to do what they've been doing and continue to bring this great game that everyone's loving right now. It's like, let them work at their pace. There's nothing to do here. So I bring that up to say, like, this has to be one of the most proactive people and verbal people that I've seen as a CEO for a company, trying to make sure people are heard, trying to make sure that they are interacting with the community, that they are trying to change things to fit the community while also continuing to have this awesome and evolving game. Everyone coming at them was just like I say, like, you never know in 2024, but everyone going after him and they're like, stop. Just stop. It's a joint decision. Sony has final say. Sony had to come in and say yes, just like Sony had to come in and say no, we shouldn't. He Powlett even walked through that and took his blame. I'm gonna just say he because I apologize, but Powlett also took the blame, saying, "Hey, I'm not
I mean,
blameless.
if it's
I
a
did
guy, it's
this
a
and this."
guy.
It should be a guy. Like
If it's
I
a
will
guy,
say
it's
though,
a
I haven't
guy.
looked up gender, so I'd feel bad if I'm misgendering. So I apologize in advance, Arrowhead CEO.
Just say the CEO. Just say the CEO.
Yeah, the CEO even said, "I'm not blameless. Obviously, I made the decision too. It's still a joint thing." But also point out, I don't have final say. Point out at the very beginning, it's Sony support. You need to send it over to them. You need to make sure they hear you. And someone asked the question about, hey, if you knew 6 months in advance and you knew there'd be issues, why would you do it? Like, why has this played out the way it has, and why are you bringing it out again right now? And honestly, I screenshot everything. I loved the response where the CEO just took it through the timeline, bro,
Yeah.
and just was like 8 months ago, we were in talks. We were trying to figure out the service, trying to figure out everything. 6 months ago, we signed the deal saying PSN would be a required thing. We did put it up. We didn't really talk about it.
Well,
Day of release, it caused an issue, so we took it off. Recently, PlayStation would like for us to do it again. They would like for
that,
us to enact it.
I mean,
We voiced our concerns, but we have to do it. We have to follow the contract.
and I
Sorry, go
mean,
ahead. Like,
no, no, and just to start getting like wrapping things up here.
yeah, yeah.
And honestly, he did a ballsy move, or
Mm.
they did, or see, got me doing it now.
The CEO
The CEO
made a
that
very ballsy
ballsy
move,
move
called out Sony.
because he went like, you know what, Y- we're gonna delay this, and I'm sure in
Mhm.
the back of their mind they're like, you know what, hopefully we make enough money. There's a huge following, a huge player base, to where Sony will have to look at it and be like, all right, you're right, because at that point they're like, look at the numbers you're gonna lose if you do this.
I mean, it's not.
So
I think the
I feel
CEO
like
was on board with it at the beginning, but whenever it had to be turned off, which again would have been a joint decision, but
all
when
right,
it had to be turned off, it's like we kind of have no choice. I would say the ballsier move was actually putting the ball in Sony's court. Of course, taking responsibility, but also saying they have final say. Sony has final say as to what happens here. Just
yep.
like they're the ones who wanted, and there's nothing wrong. I've said this before in some talks. There's nothing wrong with Sony wanting to fulfill a contract made that, hey, we're going to do this as part of this, and we're also going to run the servers. We're going to do this, like we're going to market, we're going to advertise. There's nothing wrong with fulfilling the contract, but at the same time, with this backlash, it's like I thought it was pretty like telling that this CEO is an open book. Like I want you to know that we were part of the decision process. Sony has final say. This was a decision despite concerns, but we are looking into it. I That's all I really want from a CEO of a company.
Mhm.
And I love it. And I love the fact that Sony said something too. I love the fact that they are actually interacting. I know I keep coming back. It's like I just want to praise both of them. Like, thank you for talking with us. You know, thank you for
Yep.
collaborating over the weekend and changing it back. Thank you for listening to the community. We should all
and
back off and just appreciate it.
and and that being said, don't be surprised in future Sony products you're gonna need a PSN. I'm sure this is one of
Yeah,
those. I'm sure this games that feel that one exception, like, all right, we'll let this one slide. But at the same time, since you know this thing exists now, don't be surprised when you buy Ghost of Tsushima and you need a PSN. Don't be surprised.
that's something that was also brought because I was talking with Work in Progress, yo guys, shout out, and they had brought up like Microsoft did the same thing with Sea of Thieves. I still feel like the situations are different because they are not, this obviously, especially the logging out of the countries, I can understand why it was concerned, but I don't think there's anything that we shouldn't expect from this anymore. Like, you need an account for almost everything now. You need an
Yeah,
account sometimes based solely on the developers and sometimes based solely on the console that is providing it.
I
It's I
I
have
think
my own theories about that, but
I think the
go
only
ahead.
way it'll be an issue is if it's one thing to have an account, right? Just to play the game. Make a free account, play the game, you're done. I just hope they don't start being like, okay, you have an account, but if you want to play these games that have multiplayer, you gotta like subscribe to our online subscription, right? I just hope it doesn't
Uh,
get to that because
go back to Xbox Gold.
yeah, because that'll destroy
Yeah.
the PC consumer. Like they're like, no, we're not doing that. Like the PC players are like, we don't pay for online. That's console. And credit to Xbox, they found a way, counting myself, to get PC players to subscribe to their service because they're like, you're not paying for online, you're paying for access to our library. So
Mhm.
there you go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Just a quick thought. Um, Check out our Instagram at Dooless Chat. Juice is gonna says he's gonna do some posts on there. If you're new here and you like what you see, leave a like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. That way you know when we go live or upload. I've been doing a lot of shorts lately. They've been doing pretty good. Gonna keep that up. And next time you see us, we'll be discussing solo leveling. So until then,
Yes.
we'll catch you guys next time, guys. Later.
Peace, peace.